In today's episode, I've been thinking about the 6 ways you can position your law firm in the marketplace. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode on positioning, which I define as the act of choosing a strategic specialism and then working hard to lodge that specialism in the minds of your clients and prospects. I've spent almost 10 years now looking at law firm marketing, and as far as I can tell, there are only 6 ways to position a law firm: jurisdiction, geography, practice area, client vertical, systems and processes, and personality. In today's video, I want to go through each of those 6, let's call them pillars of positioning. I'll give you a brief description and then I'll summarise the possible benefits and pitfalls you might find if you choose to go down that route. The first pillar of positioning is jurisdiction, the place or places where you're allowed and qualified to practice. For most firms and individuals, this pillar is the one that's most firmly fixed when you start the positioning process. While it's not impossible to get qualified in another jurisdiction or to hire junior lawyers to do that for you, changing your firm to operate under a completely different legal system is probably a step too far for most lawyers. So that raises an interesting question. Can your existing jurisdiction be a source of competitive advantage? Given that every lawyer within your jurisdiction is equally qualified to practice there, it would be easy to assume that it's not. And yet I've seen some firms make a go of it. Lawyers fluent in second languages can do really well in this kind of position, that of the trusted local advisor to clients from outside of the jurisdiction. And also any practice areas that require lots of cross-border work can also be a good area to explore if you're interested in positioning your firm along jurisdiction lines. The second pillar of positioning is geography. That being positions based on being deeply connected with the people and legal issues of a particular place. Geographic positions are very well established, and you'll find a geographically positioned firm in almost every town, since this is the foundation of the high street solicitor's practice. Firms relying on a sense of place to differentiate themselves must be careful not to fall into the trap of confusing it with proximity. Merely being close to your clients is not the same as really understanding what makes a particular community special. The best geographically positioned firms are not only close to their clients, but they also go to great lengths to be part of a community and really understand that community's needs. If a local geographic position is the standard way to differentiate a high street solicitors, then practice area is the default for commercial lawyers. Almost every lawyer who's trained and qualified with a big law firm is going to have developed some kind of specialism, and it's normally along practice area lines. Practice areas are a great starting point for a strong position because they're inherently focused on client needs. The risk is that most firms don't specialise tightly enough relative to the size of their firm, and so despite a certain degree of specialism, still fail to make an impact. The best firms positioned by practice area are either ultra specialised in that they take a small slice of a wider practice area, or they combine the wide practice area with one or more of the other pillars of positioning in order to narrow their focus further. The fourth pillar, client vertical, is even more client focused than the last. Client vertical positions refer to those where the services offered are very tightly focused on the needs of a single industry segment. These positions are really strong because it's so easy to identify who your target clients are. Client vertical positions are especially useful for creating compound positions with one of the other pillars. A relatively broad practice area position, like employment lawyer, is tightened greatly and made much more effective with the addition of a client vertical to form something like employment lawyer for offshore oil and gas. So far, we've looked at the pillars of positioning you can use just by deciding to focus and then choosing a specialism that fits with your skills and expertise. They all require a certain amount of work, but as long as you've got a degree of credibility within that specialism, you can be up and running from day one. The last 2 pillars, systems and processes and personality, require quite a lot more upfront investment before you can bring them to market. The 5th pillar is the systems and processes you use to deliver your service to clients. This is the domain of the disruptors, the innovators, and the companies commonly known as new law. The possibilities within this pillar are endless, and they're increasing every day with advancements in technology and the changing regulatory environment in which lawyers operate. Positions built around systems and processes benefit the most from first mover advantage. And I think established firms are going to struggle because there's very little precedent they can duplicate. Developing new business models is inherently risky, requiring, as it does, large upfront investments. The firms that do it well stand to make huge gains, but big downsides are equally possible. The final pillar of positioning is personality. Personality can be defined as the combination of characteristics that make up someone's unique character. Positioning by personality could be incredibly effective for a gregarious sole practitioner, but it could be a lot more challenging to get every lawyer in a large firm to act with the same personality. On the whole, I think positioning by personality should be avoided by large firms unless it comes very naturally. It is almost impossible to fake, and it only emerges occasionally after many years of focused and careful hiring decisions. Positioning based on personality also needs to be underpinned by strong leadership figures. This is another thing that makes it quite unsuitable for traditional legal practices where there's more than a handful of people calling the shots. I've had an interest in law firm marketing for almost a decade now, and as far as I can tell, this list of 6 ways to position a law firm is definitive, but I'd love to hear from you if you think differently. Please post in the comments if you've got anything to add, like and share if you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.